Through the generous contribution of Dr. Lewis's family, we're very fortunate to be able to share with you these timeless recordings of Dr. M. W. Lewis, a self-realized American yogi. Dr. Lewis was Paramahansa Yogananda's first American disciple and dearest personal friend. The wisdom Dr. Lewis imparts through these teachings will give you a dynamic and practical insight into the ancient science of yoga as taught by Paramahansa Yogananda. This lecture's title is How Can the World Be Saved? And was delivered in Hollywood, California on March 4th, 1954.
How can the world be saved? How can the world be saved? I think some of the parts of it that we know about we don't want to save. And I think if we understand just what we mean, perhaps, by the worldly consciousness, then we can do something about saving it. Now, worldly consciousness is predominantly the consciousness of the drama of life which God has created. That's what people do not understand. They have wonderful ideas of saving something that is transient and changeable and is not permanent. So let us understand that first, right off. That worldly consciousness is changed. It is not permanent, it is transient, because it is the consciousness of the drama of life or the drama of this creation of God. And so you can see, if you think at all, and immediately understand that worldly consciousness cannot be saved. It must pass away. It must cease to exist. So let us understand that point first. In dealing with this question, how can the world be saved? It cannot be saved. That consciousness changes. So that is not the point at all. There's some other point we must inject, which I will try to do a little later in the talk. Worlds come and go, we know that. You look in history, read about how empires have been built up and have crumbled. Civilizations come and pass away. Cities, wonderful cities in time are leveled, they aren't there. Man is born and man dies. And so that consciousness, let us understand right off, cannot be saved. Its nature is to change and pass away. But the Scriptures tell us this. The Scriptures tell us that underlying this will-o'-the-wisp changing consciousness of this world, there is an eternal consciousness that does not pass away, that always was and always will be. That's the important thing. That's what people miss. They try to fix up this old worldly consciousness. It's going away anyway. The thing is to supersede it with something else. Then you can save the world. Only that way. Now, if perhaps, as I have said, we can replace that seemingly real, yet so changeable worldly consciousness by something else, something that is eternal, as the Scriptures say, an underlying eternal consciousness that does not change, that always was and always will be, if we can replace this worldly consciousness with that, then we can say, yes, the world can be saved. The world can be saved. Otherwise, we must admit that this worldly consciousness will not be saved. It must pass away. Now, testifying to the validity of our premise that underlying this changeable worldly consciousness, which is forever fooling us, we look to the Scriptures. The Bhagavad Gita and the Bible I'm going to take just this morning. In the Bhagavad Gita, on the 13th discourse, the 30th line, we read as follows. The Scriptures are the same. whether the Bible or the Gita or any of the scriptures, you will find the same underlying truth. And this is what we read. When the devotee realizes the separate existence of all beings established in the One, that's the point. Now you can only realize that when you see and merge in the infinite light of God, then you know that each separate existence is a ray of that light. And so the Gita says, when the devotee sees the separate existence of all beings established in the One, and their expansion from that one eternal substance of God, then he becomes one with God. Then you can realize the common Father, and you fear nothing or no one, having God with you. The Gita also says that when we realize this, that in pleasure or pain, in success or failure, in opulence or want, we remain the same. Why not? Because we know the truth. The truth is what will save the world, nothing else. Not only theoretical truth, but realized truth. That is what will save the world. One who realizes this underlying unity is the same in honor or dishonor, in success or failure. As I have said, whether you have anything, or haven't even a friend left in the world, no place to put your head, a downright failure according to ordinary consciousness, if you have God and realize your oneness with Him, you are the greatest success. So remember that. Success is not in worldly consciousness. If we follow matter, in the end, in the beginning, it is wonderful. Nectar. But in the end, disappointment and play. Because it is not the reality. Remember that. All the scriptures